All righty, welcome on in to our coverage here on NFL Game Day tonight as we welcome you on in. This has been a historic Sunday and a crazy turn of events in a lot of different ways here on the Star. Again, welcome on in. This has been crazy week. This has been a crazy weekend. We had a lot of great football. Let's get right into it with our coverage right here. Started with yesterday's games. We didn't have a show yesterday. So we'll talk here about yesterday's games. But the big thing yesterday that I saw was just we'll start with the Packers. The Packers were unbelievable. Their offense looked unstoppable yesterday, and they put up a lot of points on the board when they took on the Rams. And I mean, you talk about Jalen Ramsey, and he's a great corner, but I think Aaron Rodgers is the clear-cut MVP, and he will be voted the MVP this season when we get to the NFL honors. And there's no doubt about that. And what we're looking here at the Packers going forward is what kind of weapons can you ask for? This is really the best team offensively is the Packers, as well as the Chiefs and the Bills. You have a lot of great offenses remaining, and we're going to see high-scoring games hopefully next week. We really haven't seen that this week, and it's kind of a surprise that really a lot of the teams haven't scored more than 25 points. The only two teams that have scored more than 25 are the teams meeting in the NFC Championship next week on Fox. So, with all that said, we have a lot to get to here tonight. And, I mean, there's not much to say about the Packers, but I doubted the Rams. I said that the Rams would not get through. I said the Rams were basically just there because the Seahawks kind of choked. And, I mean, I was probably right. The Rams were competitive a little bit, but they did have a decent season. They didn't have a bad season. All right. They weren't a terrible team. They were a pretty good team. But enough said, the Packers, of course, got the win in that one. All right. As we move on, we've got the Chiefs, or rather, we got the Bills game last night, and it was kind of crazy. We had Lamar Jackson, who left the game with a concussion. I believe it was a concussion. And, I mean, they didn't get anything going offensively before that, and certainly not after. And the Ravens were held to 3 points. Now, Justin Tucker, a reliable kicker, he missed a few field goals, which he's one of the most reliable kickers. He missed a field goal last week in the wild card, and then he misses a field goal in the divisional against the Bills. I mean, you kind of start to lose faith in your kickers at this point. That a kicker is a big position that you really need here in the age that we're in, and that you can't really expect to win games if you can't be successful in the kicking game. And I mean, the Bills, they kind of looked human out there against the Ravens. I mean, Josh Allen, he was consistent, but wasn't great. He looked very human out there. They were stopped quite a bit, and it kind of looks like we're going to see more of a traditional 28-25 kind of AFC championship instead of a high-flying somebody first to 40 wins the game. And I mean, credit to the Ravens defense. They played well, but again, you got to score points to win. And I think a lot of that does have to do with the conditions out there in Buffalo that we had last night. But let's move on to today's games. All right, Browns and Chiefs. AFC divisional round playoff. Wow. This one was crazy. First of all, the Browns had a dominant performance to get here. They were very dominant in the game leading up to this one. And wow. I mean, credit to the Browns. They're just dominant, But I'll tell you, they were dominant last week. But today, Baker Mayfield had to make plays, and he didn't make all the ones he needed. He had the opportunity to win this game, but Andy Reid is too good of a coach to allow someone to have too many chances. And I mean, the story of this game is Patrick Mahomes left the game after he kind of took a hit to the neck area, the upper body. And I don't know what his condition will be for next week's game against the Bills, but obviously hope him the best. Now, the Chiefs only scored 3 points in the entire second half, which of course is a little bit due to not having Patrick Mahomes for the entire second half. So, I think that the Chiefs, if they do have Mahomes next week, they're going to be a great team to be picking. I would probably take the Chiefs if they have Mahomes next week, but we don't know. I mean, it truly is at this point an unknown if Mahomes will be good to go next week. But again, I hope he plays next week because I mean it's Mahomes. We want him to play. We want these games to be contested at full strength. We want the best teams going against each other here in the playoffs. We don't want to see the scraps going against the scraps. But we'll see. I hope Mahomes is back. But, I mean, no guarantees either way. And now, we get to the final game of the day. Sure, you checked the title. Honestly, this was a game that was crazy. It was back and forth and back and forth, and I don't know. I was really pulling for the Saints in this game. I hoping to see Drew Brees win this one, hoping to see go to Lambeau and take on the Packers next week. But Tom Brady just doesn't age. He's looked so young today. He looked outstanding against the Saints. And I mean the mistakes are the difference. The difference in this game is those turnovers. The turnovers cost the Saints the game. You can't make those mistakes, and I mean it feels. I mean, I could make a whole separate video on how frustrating this is for Drew Brees and how this is obviously not the way you want to step away from football. Having your last play be an interception, and he didn't ever get an opportunity. He didn't throw a touchdown in this game, and I mean, I honestly hope that he comes back and he leads his team to another NFC South championship. But I mean, all signs point to this being his final game here at the Superdome. And I mean, you got to feel for this guy. He was doubted so much. He managed to become an NFL quarterback. Obviously, he helped recover the recovery of Katrina. He did so much, and I believe he's going to be at NBC next year and working the Notre Dame football with Mike Tirico. And I mean, I think he'll have plenty of stories to tell. He did win one Super Bowl, but that's obviously not good enough comparing him to a guy like Tom Brady, who has potentially got an opportunity to his seventh ring this season. See about that though. But I mean, we've gotten a lot of this game, but we have to talk about the flip side. We have to talk about Tom Brady and how he he's just still so good. I mean, I saw a lot of that aging from Gronkowski today. I mean, Brady was throwing it to Gronkowski like it was 4 or 5 years ago. I'm like, wait a second, Tom Brady. Gronkowski maybe would have made that play 5 years ago, but we don't need to be. I think definitely Gronkowski. We can see him getting older, but I mean, if Gronkowski, I think he can make a few big plays next week against the Packers, and it's going to be a really fun game next week against the Packers that they've got. And I mean, which game's better? I mean, I don't know. If I get Mahomes, I mean, Bills Chiefs is probably the better game if I get Mahomes on the field. But just because, I mean, I love these young guys. I love seeing a lot of talent on the field all at once. But anyway, hope to get you set for next week, as we've got so much next week. These are two games that, I mean, both these games are rematches. Both these games aired early this season on Fox, and I believe they were they the same weekend? I do not recall, but they were great football games. They were, I believe, in October when both these games took place. And I'll obviously find that out for y'all. But because I know that this is obviously important. This is critical. This is what we live for on the Star. And yes, they were actually the same weekend. They were both are going to be played on the other stadium. So it was October 18th, the Sunday. The Buccaneers defeated the Packers 38-10, and that was, I mean, a wrap. And then the other game, the Chiefs defeated the Bills 26-17. That, I believe, was a rainy game in Buffalo, and that was on a Monday afternoon. Not a lot of the country saw that game. And here we are. Here we are in January of 2021, and we got the same two games, but obviously at the other sites. And it's going to be fun. We'll get Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes potentially. I don't know who's going to be starting for Kansas City. I mean, Kansas City currently a 2.5-point favorite down in Vegas. And this is going to be interesting. This is going to be the story the whole week, is if Mahomes can go, this is a whole nother ballgame. You saw the hit? I don't know. I really don't know what happened to him. I really don't know how he's doing right now. But of course, we wish him the best. Yeah. The best team probably right now. If I'm going to rank these 4 teams, I would probably put number 1 right now. Could be the Chiefs at number 1 right now, just because they got Mahomes. But I'm not going to rank these teams. I'm not going to rank these teams because I think they're all capable of winning a Super Bowl. I think it's obviously harder to win on the road for these 2 road teams to get to the Super Bowl. And I would think the Packers have a big advantage against the Buccaneers just because of that weather environment that we're going to see next week, potentially snow. But again, Tom Brady, he played so much in New England, and he does not fear the tundra quite as much as other teams. This is going to be a great weekend. We got for you next weekend. Hopefully, we don't have any more COVID issues. And we advance to the 2021 year, and I don't know what to tell you, but this is going to be a fun one next week. Fox will have the first game, and CBS will have the AFC Championship between the Bills and the Chiefs. Again, thanks so much for tuning in to JJ Sports coverage of the NFL, and home of Super Bowl 55 will be just 3 weeks away from Super Bowl 55, and that'll be in Tampa. Could Tampa Bay? They beat the Packers next week. They'll be hosting the Super Bowl. I don't think that's been done anytime recently. That just doesn't happen. It's not that likely that you host Super Bowl and then you win it. It's just a 1/32 chance. Buccaneers, they're just 1 win away from pulling that off again. Thanks so much for tuning in. Buccaneers defeat the Saints 30-20 in Drew Brees' final game as a Saint, according to the reports. Again, thanks for watching, listening, and tuning in to our coverage of the NFL and the road to Super Bowl 55. Until next time, I'm Jared.